And my name is Matt Kurecki, and I lead the delivery for the intelligence function across the Randstad Enterprise. So let's start with showing the functionalities of the dashboard. Effectively, the dashboard is composed of a couple of sub-pages. And the first thing you'll see when you enter the in-demand skills is effectively the view on the high-level aspects of the research. So what you will be able to see is how complex is it hiring for each of the countries out there across different skill clusters. You will get access to the filters that will show you how the complexity changes whenever you consider only senior talent or female talent with this particular visualization. You'll get access to a little bit broader overview of the sub skills that are being one of the most important part of the in-demand that will effectively show you how complex hiring for particular skills is on the country level that you can select from here. And you are also able to switch that for the female talent only. Now, navigating through this actually gives you an option to find out what sort of demand is associated with each of the individual skills. What's the supply for this particular skill globally or from the country level? And at the same time, you are seeing how complex it is to hire this skill as you go forward to the right-hand side of the slide, and how this changes whenever you start exploring different options with the country level views. Next thing is also new addition, but we added ability to check the core skills, which are broadly defined as soft skills as well. And you're actually able to see what sort of demand is being generated by the countries from the perspective of those soft skills, and where are they most prevalent and accessible on each individual skill level that are being the top of the skills showing across the job advertisements. So that's the major part of the in-demand summary page. After that, you're actually able to explore each of the categories individually. There are 10 different categories this year, 9 of the skill clusters that have been there last year, and the blue-collar skill cluster, and I'll start with that. Blue-collar skill cluster is being done slightly differently. It compiles the data from the governmental official sources and the International Labour Organization across 22 markets. And it actually shows you how complex is it to hire one of the 4 different skilled traits on a country level from a high level view. And whenever you start playing around with those filters here, you're actually able to see, in this particular case, how complex or what's the most complex country. If you ever decide to go for hiring the maintenance and repair talent, that's then defined by the ISCO categories that you can find up here across each individual geography. There's also a level of executive insights that we have at the bottom of the page. And you can actually see just the information on what are the major blockers and challenges, as well as some potential solutions across the board in terms of hiring the blue-collar talent. Now, let's jump to one of the skill cluster pages for the white-collar talent. Each of those have relatively similar structure. You're able to see what those jobs are being composed of, with inherent skills and learned skills and motivations and aspirations that are basically one of the most important aspects of the talent of the future. Then you are actually able to see on much more detailed level what the sub skills are composed of. You can actually play around with the visualization and see what falls under each category for the sub skill. And this actually gives you an idea about what else is there, what sort of other skills actually have made those sub skill clusters. Alongside this, under each section, you will be able to see the explanation as well as a bit of narratives that will bring you this information in on a little bit of a higher level, the highlights of the most important points out there. Um, then we actually can check the supply across the globe for those skills. That is also filterable by the country level. With this map, you're actually able to mouse over each of the countries and get a view of the JVR levels, the supply levels for the particular skill cluster. You can also navigate this on a skill type level directly. So the sub skills of the skill clusters are accessible from here. On top of that, you get the information about active talent, um, which is composed of the information around uh, what share of talent you can expect to potentially engage with you during the recruitment process, what share of talent you might have access for, as well as the information on uh, basically the last year statistics, what percentage of this talent, of the total global talent, changed the jobs within each of the skill cluster and the cluster level. Um, you can also play around with the native AI filters here. So whenever you start clicking through that, you are actually seeing how those numbers change for the talent with AI only. So each of this actually affects the high level information of the talent. But at the same time, you can see that in this particular case, whenever talent has AI skills, the mobility increases. Um, those filters are also available on the supply level. So you are able to play around with information on the talent with the AI on a global level. And it's also available on a skill type level. So you actually see how the AI skills are crossovering with different sub skills for this category. And last but not least, you get the information about the contract freelance talent, what percentage of the talent pool out there prefers this type of employment over the permanent. Um, and there's also an executive summary in regards of the skill cluster. This is pretty much composition of every single skill cluster that's out there. Um, another section is skills demand, which shows you the information about each individual skill demand, sub-skill demand across the globe or individual geography. And it also gives you an ability to switch around for the information on demand for AI skills, which is not particularly high for this skill cluster, although it changes across the board. And the same thing you can do for JVR, which is a hiring complexity, and you can see how this changes on each individual country level, the global level, and how what percentage of jobs versus what percentage of candidates is actually having this sort of skills. Um, and executive summary here as well. Then we have compensation section. Compensation section is actually built around benchmarking um, average compensation for all the skills in the cluster uh, versus the US. It's relatively broad, although this gives you insights into what are approximately the levels of investment that will be needed whenever you are trying to get talent from different geographies and how it spreads across this particular type of talent. Um, and one more part, specifically on the topic that has been much, very much important for all the organizations globally for the last few years, which is the job mobility or ability for, which is the um, hybrid and remote work environment, effectively job flexibility. That shows you the preferences of the candidates in terms of whether they prefer remote or hybrid work. And the same on the same side for the employers, where you can actually see what percentage of job adverts is available for remote and hybrid work arrangements. Um, and the last part of the typical in-demand subpage is the diversity with some of the new additions this year. First of all, you can see how diverse the cluster is globally, which means what percentage of talent within the particular skill categories, male versus female, how it spreads across each individual skill levels, and how much complex hiring would get if you focused only on the female part of the talent pool. And it is also filterable by different countries. So this is the high-level overview of the SAP skill cluster pages. And with that, I suppose we take a pause.